everyone, and welcome to Collider Video. We are here talking the pilot episode of Supergirl. So excited. I am Kaori Takee, and before we get any further, I want to introduce my panel. On my right...
Hello, everyone. My name is Clarke Wolfe. It's nice to see you. Happy Supergirl Day.
Yeah, happy Supergirl Day. And then to my left...
Hey guys, I'm Carli, Garsow, and I'm so excited to be here for Supergirl.
And to her left as well, and you're not seeing double...
Hi everyone, I'm Britta Garsow. Also excited to be here for Supergirl. We didn't mean to match, P.S. And if you're seeing double, we're not judging.
So I want to let you guys know that you can tweet us all week long at hashtag Collider Supergirl. You can send us those questions and those comments. Who knows, maybe your Twitter questions will be answered right here on the Supergirl Recap Show. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the things that we loved about this pilot and probably some things that didn't work for us that much. So, but before we do that, overall thoughts of this pilot, ladies.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love this pilot so much.
I love it too. I felt really happy watching it. I don't know if it was the background music or just the whole thing in general, but it gave me butterflies. Yeah. I loved it also. I think, I love the women empowerment in it.
Yeah, and you know what? I gotta say, Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, she is the show. She makes it. They picked the perfect actress, the lead, to be on the show. I mean, the pilot really sold it for me. So I'm hoping it does well, and I think it will.
Yeah, she's great. Melissa Benoist is great. And I think that it takes a really talented, rare kind of actress who can pull off sort of the aw shucks gee whiz Lois kind of thing that we remember from the old Superman type shows that we used to see. And also really deliver when it comes to the fact that she's this girl who's struggling with her identity, and also be a total badass when it comes to some of those action sequences. I think Melissa Benoist is perfect for this role.
Yeah, and not just her as well, but also we got to see Callista Flockhart back in action, which was great.
So good.
And everyone else I thought was really well put together. So for me, a solid first episode. So let's talk about some of the positives, because at least for myself, there are many. Starting with Clarke?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I really, really like this pilot. And I think that, so there was some controversy when the 6-minute first look came out this summer. And, there were some people that kind of criticized the show, saying, oh, it's like Black Widow, the movie, like that Saturday Night Live sketch. And it's basically Devil Wears Prada, but with a cape. And I have to say that, I didn't necessarily agree with those criticisms when the first look came out. And now that we've seen the pilot, I actually feel like the first look was a great representation of what the pilot is. And I think the first look worked for me then, and I think the pilot works now. And I think for me, and I don't know about you guys or some of you guys watching, but, I absolutely remember being 22 or young and living in New York or living in a big city where, I did live for a little while personally. And I didn't have it all figured out either. And I really, really enjoyed the overall sort of allegory or metaphor with just this girl coming into her own. And I think it works throughout the entire pilot. And I love the dynamics between her and her boss, this woman who she wishes were a mentor, and her and Jimmy, who clearly, has this connection to her cousin, Kal-El, who she clearly looks up to and admires. And then also her relationship with her sister, Alex, which I think is going to get really, really complicated throughout the rest of the show.
Well, I think she has a lot of aspects of her life that a lot of us can definitely relate to, and that's why she's so lovable and adorable. Like you were mentioning, just the issues with her boss and just trying to fit in, constantly trying to figure out what she's all about. I think we struggle with that no matter how old you are. So she just fits that home girl comfort mode, and I really appreciate that as well. So
yeah, I mean, I'm 24 and I felt like I could totally relate to her. Even I'm not a superhero, but I could just relate to so many things. Yeah, maybe. I just relate to so many things that she was going through, just being a young professional and then dating and everything. And it's great to see that she is so relatable, even though she is a superhero. And I think that's the appeal to the show, because she's relatable, yet she's this amazing superhero that has all these powers.
Girl is a hot mess, but who isn't? Like you guys all said, I totally agree that I think everyone can truly relate to her, and you never really all have it everything figured
Never.
out, and you're always like second guessing your decisions early on, like in your career and things like that. So I just love the fact that she's so relatable. It just makes her a really good like protagonist.
Well, and you know what's interesting about the relatability point? The criticism that we hear a lot when it comes to Superman, especially in this present day now, is people can't relate to Superman.
That is kind of my criticism with
And
Superman
so
as well.
it's fascinating
Not
to
gonna
me
lie.
because why is it, essentially what we just watched in the pilot, and I don't fault the pilot for this at all. I actually kind of liked it. I noticed a lot of cool throwbacks to like the Richard Donner Superman movies and the Superman that has come before. But I thought it was really interesting how, I don't know about the audience at home, but we're all sitting here going, yep, that's me. I totally relate to her. I totally know how it feels to be her and all the pressure and whatever and the confusion. So why is it, I wonder, that just from the pilot episode, we can relate to Supergirl, but people can't seem to relate to Superman right now?
Well, I think she just really mentions a lot of human things like going on online dating, looking for an outfit with her
Yeah.
sister.
We see a lot of her everyday life.
Yeah.
As Kara.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's probably a big point. And we're probably going to see that progress as the show goes on. Do you have any other positives you want to share with us?
Definitely. The other big thing that I wanted to mention, aside from liking the relationships, was the airplane sequence. So, if you guys have been keeping up with the promotional materials for Supergirl, you've seen the sequence, right?
Right.
They have not been shy about showing it. But I have to say, one of the things that really hooked me from the beginning, before the pilot even aired, when we saw this first look, was the idea of watching a girl actually save this plane, land this plane, like have this big bad action sequence. And if you watch, it comes before the title even shows up. Like they knocked the exposition out of the park in this pilot. Before we even get to the first commercial, we know who Kara is, we know her backstory on Krypton, we know her relationship with her parents, and we get a badass action sequence. So I thought that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was actually one of my positives, is that the pacing of this episode, there was so much information, but they filled it perfectly, where we got to see and understand who the villain is probably going to be. We understand that her vulnerability, and she's kind of an amateur, but she's got her sister on her side. We understand this department, and we understand also her daily life. So I really liked how they encompassed everything all in this pilot. Well done.
Yeah, and to me, I really enjoyed the airplane scene, but it wasn't that impactful. I'm like, oh, she's carrying an airplane, like, okay. But then when her fingers like dug into the airplane, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's really strong. So I feel like it didn't really hit me until like halfway through that scene that she has like super strength and is an actual alien. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just like that. So I do think overall it was really well done, but it just surprised me that we could actually see her strength.
Well, Britta, what are some of your other positives?
Another one, I really enjoyed the relationship she has with Alex, her sister.
That was mine.
Because I think that they're so different from each other, and I don't know. Do we find out how old Alex is at all?
I don't think
Because
they
she
say.
seems
think
significantly
so.
older. I don't know.
I would guess she's maybe 28.
I would
Oh,
have thought around
okay.
the same age.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know.
Maybe it's just her job that made me think that she was older. But I really like how they're so different and obviously have different outlooks and like career paths and everything. And I think that's kind of when you complement each other more, is when you can give each other advice. Like we see how they give each other advice on different things so early on in the episode. So I'm definitely interested to see like where their relationship goes and if they end up getting along more or still kind of butt heads about her being out as Supergirl.
Yeah. Okay.
I really enjoyed how they weren't scared to like have her actually fight. And like during the fight scenes, like she wasn't winning the whole time.
Yeah.
I
Right.
like that because I hate it when like, oh, it's a superhero and she's gonna win and beat everyone, because that's not realistic. I mean, this isn't really super realistic.
This is realistic, okay?
It could be. It could be. And I just really enjoyed that, like, she was actually in a fight that wasn't one-sided. Like, it was a fight to watch. So I enjoyed that.
I mean, I am not gonna lie, I was worried about her for a little bit. I thought she wasn't gonna, well, obviously she was gonna make it, but I mean, they did a good job with causing us a little fear
They
there.
did.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. Any other positives, ladies?
I just really like the relationships that she has with all the people in her life. It's like endearing to watch almost.
You know, I feel like obviously Wynn has a crush on her, and I like just want to see that play out so bad.
Well, it's gonna be a love triangle for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I mentioned one of my positives is the pacing of the show. I thought they put all the information in there. I also really liked the twist at the end that her aunt is actually the bad girl that really wants to bring her down, you know? So that's going to be a big baddie right there. I wonder how it's going to happen because obviously there's all these prisoners. Are we going to get a bad boy of the week or what?
Well, and it's the same actress who plays Astra as the same actress who plays her mother. And I think that we're probably going to have some really interesting power dynamics and family dynamics between Kara, who probably, even though she has her mother, by the way, how could we not mention that her parents, the Danvers, are played by Supergirl and Superman.
That's so
Helen
awesome.
Slater and Dean Cain.
Dean Cain, winner.
That was great. But I think that it's going to be it's going to really mess with a lot of people, or with Kara's mind, the idea that when she actually sees this woman who looks like her mom and who is powerful and who does use her powers, you know, could Kara potentially lose sight of wanting to help people and actually want to align with somebody who's just like her?
I just wanted to mention that I also really appreciated the little, alludes to Superman.
Yeah.
I did too.
Getting the cape at the end and just how this is our family crest. I thought all of that was awesome because I think we're all dreaming of Superman coming back into network TV. So that was really awesome.
Yeah, and I feel like this show is kind of more, there's a lot of family issues going on more than a lot of other shows. Like obviously her aunt is now out to get her and then like her cousins on her side, and there's a lot of different family members kind of all working together and against each other. And I feel like in other like superhero type shows, they're just solo. They don't even have a family. So that's really interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how you said the cape at the end, I really liked how it's kind of like, yeah, they're Supergirl now, but she's not better or he's not better. They're like equals. And this is just like an addition to the whole universe.
That's a good point. I felt that way too. And I thought that was a relief. Not that he was even better than her. They made it seem like she can be just as powerful, or is.
Yeah.
She just hasn't really picked up on all of her abilities just yet. But with every show comes along some things that possibly didn't work or some negatives. So we're going to talk a little bit about that if we have any. But let's start over there. Let's go backwards.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, this is one thing. So I think Jimmy is very charming, and I would have liked a little more backstory. Obviously, we know that he's a photographer that works for the Daily Planet and takes pictures of Superman. But I don't know, just more of his personal life, I guess I would have liked to know a little bit more about. I mean, obviously, we're going to find out, but I felt like we learned so much about Kara and not enough about Jimmy. That was just my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I get it, but there's just so much information that I think it's okay if they decide to have a Jimmy-centric episode somewhere along the line. So, but yeah, I understand. He was a really interesting character. He had like some stuff going on. What about yourself?
I didn't really like. I love Clarissa Flocker. That's how you say her last name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't really like how she was so cold. I felt like there would be like a redeeming factor, which I guess we kind of saw at the end when she was saying like, oh, don't bury yourself under the pile when you have a good idea. But I don't know. I just would like a little bit more to like see that she's gonna get better as a boss, kind of, and I didn't really see like the light at the end of the tunnel.
No, I see what you're saying. What'd you guys think about the boss, the big baddie?
I love Calista Flockhart on the show, and I feel like it was a somewhat stereotypical but somewhat accurate portrayal of what a hard-ass boss who she mentions has a failing business and is trying to save the business or the empire that she built. So I've worked with women like that before, and I think that we're gonna see, even if she doesn't soften, I think that she's going to form a special kind of relationship with Kara. And maybe I wonder if she's gonna Calista Flockhart's character, I think her name is Kat, but I wonder if she's going to find out her secret at some point.
I think so.
And
I think so.
too.
She seems like a digger. Like she did. Obviously, she's a journalist, right? Like in some way.
Yeah.
Media company. Yeah.
I mean, I did find it a little cheesy that she saw blown out picture of Supergirl and still couldn't figure out.
I know.
She was staring
That was
at
a
her
little
straight in the
ridiculous.
face.
That was
wondering
pretty
if he
ridiculous.
changed her face, but I guess we didn't really see the picture.
I think it might be kind of like a nod to the, oh, I took my glasses off. Oh, I put my glasses back
Right.
on. Ooh,
Yeah.
can you recognize me? But on the topic of Callista Flockhart, I did want to bring up that girl monologue. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Where they talk about naming Supergirl. Because that has been one of my favorite things since this first look came out, because that was in the first look that came out over the summer. And how much I just freaking love that monologue.
I love it too. It's also, it just gets you thinking, I feel like, because at first I agreed with her. I'm like, why would they call her girl? Like, she's a woman. And they kind of alluded to that the newspapers called her the woman when they first didn't know what she was. But then she kind of changes your mind when she's like, I'm a girl, like, and I'm really powerful and I'm strong and successful. And so there's like, where does the negative like connotation come from, really?
I mean, for myself, I don't feel any negativity when I'm being called a girl. I feel younger. When I'm called a woman, I feel a little more mature, so I can go either way.
Yeah, I don't see really any negativity about it either.
I think it's maybe the idea that, well, and Kara even says she wants to be taken seriously, and her cousin gets to be Superman, but I agree with the whole point of the monologue too. And I think the best line in that whole piece was, the problem is with you. You have a problem. If you have a problem with girl, then you have the problem and not anybody else. And I was like, that's so awesome. So that was like my rah-rah moment. I loved that. I thought it was great.
I can't believe we forgot to mention that, because I really love that too. It was like an empowering speech.
It was, and it set up why she's called Supergirl, at least for this TV show. So that was really cool. One of my negatives, and this is me being a super duper nitpicky because I know it's the pilot, was I personally thought the action sequences, the fight scenes, were a little bit too cheesy and not evolved enough.
I'm with you.
Okay. Yeah, I just felt that she got her ass kicked a little too hard and things were just blown out of proportion, being thrown everywhere. I don't know.
Well, literally blown out of proportion.
It just didn't work for me.
Well, I loved that she got her ass kicked, actually.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that because, she even says in the show, in the episode, I'm still learning. Give me some.
fair.
And I was actually, I really was thinking, would you ever hear Superman, when he first gets to Earth, say, I'm still learning, guys. I'm still, no, you never, ever would.
Relatability.
And relatability, exactly. But I will say, on the other hand, while I loved the sequence where she smashes into the truck and where she lands the plane, when it comes to her fighting Vartox, the fight. But here's the thing. It's the first episode. It's the pilot. And if you ever watch any sort of behind the scenes, or if you've been on set before, especially with a TV show, you know that the first fight sequence that you have is always a little wonky, but I think there's absolutely room for it to get better, and I'm sure it will. But I felt the same way. I liked that she was struggling, but at the same time, I was kind of like, this isn't as cool as I wish it was.
Was there anything else that didn't work for you, or?
The fight sequence with Vartox was the biggest thing, and this is awful. It's our first episode, and I'm gonna say this, but I didn't like little Kara.
Oh, the little girl.
I don't want to pick on a child.
Oh, we don't like Lily from Modern Family.
But I didn't quite buy little baby Kara. I thought I just didn't love her performance, is what I'll say.
Well, she didn't do much. That's the funniest
She
thing.
was actually a really pretty little girl.
She's gorgeous.
Really pretty.
So I felt like maybe it covered up the fact that she didn't say that much. I don't know. But I thought she was pretty darling. I don't know.
She's really pretty. That's horrible. I can't believe that I just said that. I'm sure she's very hardworking and good.
Oh, no, it's your opinion.
Yeah.
You can't be
I don't want
wrong.
to pick on a child.
Just do it.
But yeah, those are my two big things.
So, is there anything else you guys wanted to mention of the show?
I just love her apartment.
I know.
Relatability.
I love her
if you could live in
outfit.
that apartment.
I love her outfit.
Can we talk about the outfit sequence for a
Love the
minute?
outfit.
Because I also, I feel like kind of like I don't know, someone's mom's. But I love how they did the part where she came out in the first costume and it was like
cheerlead squad.
midriff, and it was like, and she says, like, I wouldn't even wear this to the beach, get serious. And I thought that was a really smart and clever way to address sort of maybe what had gone on in the comic books recently, you know, like where you remake the outfits of Wonder Woman, or you remake the outfits of Zatanna, or you remake the outfits of Supergirl, and it's just so much boobs and nonsense.
Good point.
And I think that the outfit that she wears she looks lovely, but did you even notice she wears tights? Like she wears like pantyhose.
Yeah.
I know.
But I find that also very endearing, like modest in a way.
I do too. I think it ties in with, there was the one scene with the lady that said, oh, I'm glad we have her. She can be like a role model for my daughter. It's just like, if she were to wear that first outfit, that doesn't really scream role model.
Right.
So I think that her modesty is what also makes her a good role model, besides the fact that she is a
Helping people.
hero.
Yes. So we do like the outfit.
I like the outfit.
Yes,
Thumbs
I do.
up.
Yes. All right. So this is the time during our recap show where we take your Twitter questions and comments and we answer a couple of them. So the way that you can do that is tweet us all week long at hashtag Collider Supergirl. All right. So on to the first Twitter question. This is from Lemongrab Wren. That's funny. Just me, or does Kara give off a huge Felicity vibe?
You know
Okay.
what? Confession time. I didn't watch Felicity,
Ooh, I only watched like the first 2 seasons.
so I don't know. I can't weigh in.
I see what they're saying. Did you guys watch Felicity? No. Okay, so in case you're wondering, long story short, Felicity is a girl that goes after a man to college, and
I think they made Green Arrow's Felicity.
You have a whole bunch of girls sitting on this.
That's even better. Okay, that's
Yeah, that
even
is better because I watch Arrow.
Yeah,
So,
let's talk about Felicity Smoke. Let's do it.
Yes.
Oh, well, then definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, super relatable, early 20s, kind of goofy, but really pretty and confident. Yeah.
I think Felicity is a little more confident than Kara.
Yeah, but I think Felicity did start off being
She
extremely
did.
nervous, and I do see the similarities and familiarities, but I would say that they are two different because it didn't trigger like, oh my gosh, this is like Felicity Smoke for myself.
Yeah, I didn't think that, but after hearing it, I do agree with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully she's doesn't get love struck in the same fashion though.
So
I know,
love
I
story.
All right, next Twitter question. This comes from Trey Mitchell. Are there any other superheroes or villains that you want to see in this universe? Why, yes. Ladies?
I just want to see Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like I said before, most superheroes don't really have like another partner that's their family member. So I think it would be awesome to see them together, like fighting crime.
Well, wouldn't that be a dream to see like Batgirl or something? But that's a big old dream.
You know, somebody tweeted before we started rolling about how they were glad that the general, that was the big reveal, because I think we can assume that the general they were referring to was Zod. And then we find out, oh, nope, definitely not Zod. However, I've talked about this on Movie Talk before, I love the character of Zod, and especially like the old school Terrence Stamp version of Zod from the Superman movie or the Donner movie. And so I think it would be really cool to see Zod show up. But when we found out that that Non is coming, so we know a couple of villains are coming from the Phantom Zone. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely see some villains, but hopefully we'll see some good guys come visit. As
Did you have any villains that you wanted to see in particular?
I mean, I am a huge Batman Arkham Knight girl, so that's where my DC familiarity comes from, and I imagine I would love to see. Again, this is a pipe dream, you know, like Poison Ivy or Catwoman.
Like more female.
I keep thinking
villains.
females
I
for
guess,
some strange
yeah.
reason.
Well, hopefully
I don't know.
Astra will be kind of a cool, formidable, like badass lady general.
Yeah,
villain.
she's already pretty.
I'm excited
Yeah,
to see how
for
this
sure.
like unfolds.
Yeah.
I like the whole twin thing. Evil twin, good twin.
Yeah, I guess you guys would. You know?
Love it.
Have you guys ever played tricks on boyfriends or anything?
No,
I'm
we
sure
never
people
have.
wonder.
We're so lame.
boring twins.
Oh well. All right. Next Twitter question. Oh, well, Paul Gaston, do you think we'll have to wait long before they acknowledge exactly where Superman is and his thoughts on this breakout?
Well, they kind of do. I mean, if we're to believe Jimmy, then he's really proud of her, and he like is glad that she's sort of come into her own.
Yeah, I think we probably got, well, this is obviously a guess because I don't know what happens in real life, but I'm guessing we got the most Superman snippets in this pilot episode, and it's gonna end up becoming really just about her and not being his cousin.
I think you're right, and I don't think we're ever gonna see Superman.
No,
Unfortunately.
I guess.
Breakout, they mean the prison breakout.
no.
Oh, you mean like from the Phantom Zone?
Yeah, what are his thoughts on the prison breakout?
Oh, Superman's thoughts on the Phantom Zone prison breakout.
We're so smart.
Well, it's only 140 characters.
I mean, that's so actually though that's a really good point. Okay, so that's actually a really good question because Superman doesn't. Well, okay, so Kara doesn't really know about the prison breakout, or does she?
Well, she
learns
does
about it.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
learns about it.
So is she going to communicate that to Kal-El, or is she going to think, no, I can do it on my own?
I think she's gonna try to do it on her own.
I think she's gonna try to do it on her own because Superman's busy in another place.
But why? But
Doing
why
some
would
stuff.
the writers introduce that? Why would the writers introduce that the Phantom Zone has released all these criminals? I mean, obviously you do that so that you know, okay, we're pulling from the comics and we're pulling these certain villains. But if they're so relying so heavily on Kal-El and Superman in this episode, you know, why? Maybe, you know, that's weird. It almost seems like they've sort of written themselves into a corner.
I just feel like it's purely just so we know that there is going to be a villain every week that we are going to have to fear, and she's going to have to defeat as she grows into her own. That's just my suspicion.
Yeah, that's a good question that they asked.
Yeah,
though.
that is a good question.
Do you have any more Twitter questions? All right, well, that's it. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to our very, very first episode right here at Collider Video of the Supergirl Recap Show. And don't forget, you can send over your questions or your comments at hashtag Collider Supergirl all week long, or by following us. And where can people follow you, Clarke?
Yeah, they can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope at Clarke Wolfe, Clarke with an E, Wolfe with an E.
And Britta?
You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Britta_Garsow.
And Carli?
And you guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Carli_Garsow.
And you can follow me at KAORIOUS right down there at Kaorius. And you can follow the whole entire Collider Recap team at Collider Video. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to use that hashtag Collider Supergirl, and we'll catch you next week for some more Supergirl talk. See ya.